5,425. That's how many Canadian-built aircraft are flying over American skies right now. Business jets carrying CEOs, regional planes connecting small-town America, commercial jets operated by Delta and American Airlines. All of them, every single one, potentially grounded by a single Truth Social post. No Senate vote, no FAA investigation, no safety emergency. Just Donald Trump on a Thursday night declaring he would decertify every Canadian aircraft operating in the United States because Canada refused to rush safety approvals for a plane that hasn't finished its fuel icing tests yet. Within hours, Bombardier stock dropped 9%. Aviation lawyers were flooded with panicked calls from wealthy clients asking one terrifying question: is my $75 million jet about to become worthless? But here's the part Trump never calculated. 64% of Bombardier's customers are American. Their jets are built with parts from 2,800 U.S. suppliers across 47 states, and the company he was trying to destroy, they just received full FAA certification for the world's fastest civilian aircraft without a single exemption request. Trump thought he was squeezing Canada. He squeezed American Aerospace instead. This is the story of the most self-destructive aviation threat in American trade history. To understand why this exploded so fast, you need to understand how aviation certification actually works. It's a system built on mutual trust. The FAA certifies American aircraft. Transport Canada certifies Canadian aircraft. The European Union certifies Airbus. Brazil certifies Embraer. And crucially, each country validates the other's safety determinations. That's called mutual recognition. And it's the reason a Boeing jet can land in Paris and an Airbus can land in Chicago without each country rerunning every safety test from scratch. Let's talk about what decertification actually means in practice, because Trump clearly didn't think it through. There are 5,425 Canadian manufactured aircraft currently registered and operating in the United States. That includes Bombardier Global Express business jets, Bombardier CRJ regional jets flown by American Airlines and Delta, de Havilland turboprops, and Airbus A220 commercial jets assembled in Canada. The FAA would need to decertify all of them. We're talking about grounding aircraft mid-operation, canceling thousands of flights, stranding passengers across American airports, disrupting airline schedules for months while carriers scramble to find replacement aircraft that don't exist in sufficient numbers. American Airlines and Delta both operate substantial fleets of Canadian-built regional jets. These aircraft serve smaller markets, routes where larger planes aren't economical. Ground them and you eliminate service to dozens of American cities. Delta declined to comment on Trump's threat. That silence tells you everything about how their operations teams received this news. Then there's the private jet market. 150 Bombardier Global Express aircraft are registered in the United States, operated by 115 different owners. These aren't airlines. These are corporations, high-net-worth individuals, charter companies. Aircraft were $40 to $75 million each. If the FAA decertifies those planes, they become worthless overnight. Owners can't fly them, can't sell them, can't use them as loan collateral. We're talking about potentially $15 billion in private aircraft value erased by a social media post. Aviation lawyers reported being flooded with panicked calls Friday morning. One question repeated over and over: is my aircraft about to be grounded? The honest legal answer? Nobody knows, because while the FAA can only decertify aircraft for safety reasons, not economic disputes, Trump has forced agencies to implement politically motivated policies before. The uncertainty alone is catastrophic. But now, here's the part that makes this truly extraordinary. While Trump was threatening to destroy Bombardier's U.S. market access, Bombardier was sitting on the strongest competitive position in their company's history. In December 2025, Bombardier's Global 8000 received full FAA certification. No exemptions, no political pressure, clean certification. It's the world's fastest civilian aircraft since the Concorde, Mach Pot 95. Transport Canada certified it in November. The FAA validated it without a single dispute. Now look at the competitive landscape. Bombardier Global 8000, fully certified in the US, Canada, and Europe. Fastest civilian aircraft available. Zero regulatory complications. Gulfstream G800 requires FAA exemptions to operate. Cannot fly into Canada. Manufacturer currently depending on presidential threats to force foreign certification. Trump wanted to help Gulfstream. He made Gulfstream look like the manufacturer that can't meet safety standards without White House intervention. Wealthy business jet buyers spent $20 to $90 million on aircraft. Safety isn't isn't a footnote for these customers. It's the entire purchase decision. And Bombardier just became the manufacturer that completes all required testing, asks for no shortcuts, and needs no political favors to get certified. That's a marketing advantage no advertising budget can buy. And here's the deeper wound Trump inflicted on American companies. Bombardier's Global 7500 jet is built with components from 2,800 American suppliers across 47 states. More than half the cost of the aircraft comes from U.S. manufacturing. These are aerospace companies in Kansas, Texas, Connecticut, Florida, Arizona, Indiana, North Carolina, and Oklahoma. Companies that invested millions developing certified components specifically for Bombardier aircraft. Bombardier also operates 9 facilities across the United States, employing 3,000 people directly and supporting tens of thousands more through the supplier network. Trump is threatening those jobs to benefit one company, General Dynamics-owned Gulfstream, at the expense of an entire aerospace supply chain spread across swing states. This system took 70 years to build. It works because everyone, regardless of politics, agrees that safety certification is based on engineering, not economics. Now enter Gulfstream. Their G7000 and G8000 business jets, 2 of the most expensive private aircraft on Earth, haven't been certified by Transport Canada, not because of bureaucratic delay, because they haven't completed required fuel icing system tests. Here's what that means in plain language. The fuel system routing on these new models is different from older Gulfstream jets. Transport Canada requires testing to confirm that tiny water droplets in jet fuel won't freeze and block flow to engines at altitude. Fuel icing has caused crashes. The testing requirement exists for a reason. The FAA gave Gulfstream a time-limited exemption allowing deliveries while testing continues until end of 2026. That's the FAA's call to make. Transport Canada chose not to grant the same exemption based on their own safety assessment. That's it. That's the whole dispute. Canada said, finish the tests, then we certify. Standard procedure, textbook aviation regulation. Trump's response, 50% tariffs on all Canadian aircraft and decertification of every Canadian-built plane operating in America. The aviation industry's reaction to Trump's threat wasn't limited to Bombardier's stock price. Industry experts worldwide responded with something rarer than anger: alarm. Aerospace consultant Richard Abulafia of Aerodynamic Advisory put it directly: mixing safety issues with politics is, in his words, an incredibly bad idea. That's carefully chosen diplomatic language for this threatens the entire global aviation system. Here's why. If the United States decertifies Canadian aircraft for political reasons, every country on Earth now has a template. China could decertify Boeing jets over Taiwan tensions. Europe could reject American helicopters over trade disputes. Brazil could block American business jets over tariff conflicts. The U.S. exports far more aircraft globally than it imports. Boeing, Gulfstream, Textron, Bell Helicopter all depend on international certification acceptance to sell their products worldwide. Trump's threat gives every country justification to weaponize certification against American manufacturers. That's not leverage. That's handing foreign governments a loaded weapon pointed at America's most successful export industry. Now consider the 4 scenarios this threat creates, and notice that none of them are good. Scenario 1, Trump follows through. 5,425 aircraft grounded. Airlines collapse routes, private jets become worthless, American suppliers lose Bombardier contracts, Canada retaliates by decertifying American aircraft in Canadian airspace. Full aviation crisis. Scenario 2, Trump backs down. His threats are revealed as empty. Canada continues refusing Gulfstream exemptions. Future threats carry less weight in every negotiation. Scenario 3, partial implementation. Tariffs imposed, but FAA determines it lacks legal authority to decertify for economic reasons. New Bombardier aircraft become prohibitively expensive in the U.S. American buyers shift to European manufacturers. Bombardier loses future sales, but existing fleets keep flying. Scenario 4, negotiated resolution. Canada grants limited exemptions conditional on testing completion. Trump claims victory, but the precedent is permanently established. Safety certification can be influenced by political pressure. Every manufacturer worldwide now knows to call the White House before calling Transport Canada. Every path leads somewhere damaging, because Trump created a threat with no clean exit. Here's the central irony that will define this story. Canada's position is legally and strategically bulletproof. Transport Canada cannot compromise aviation safety standards under political pressure without exposing themselves to massive legal liability.
If Gulfstream aircraft with incomplete fuel icing tests later experience in-flight failures, Transport Canada faces catastrophic consequences for granting exemptions under coercion rather than engineering judgment. So Canada's strategy is simple. Say nothing, do nothing, wait. If Gulfstream completes the required tests, Transport Canada certifies the aircraft. Standard procedure. Until then, no exemptions, no negotiations through social media, no response to Thursday night Truth Social posts. Trump's leverage dissolves the moment American aerospace suppliers, business jet owners, and airlines start calculating their own losses and start pressuring Washington to reverse the threat. Because the economic pain falls almost entirely on American companies and American workers. Bombardier, meanwhile, is watching this unfold with something close to disbelief at their good fortune. Their newest aircraft is fully certified on 3 continents without a single exemption. Their competitor is the one seeking regulatory shortcuts and presidential intervention. And the chaos Trump created has made every serious business jet buyer in the world reconsider whether Gulfstream's certification situation is actually stable. Trump wanted to squeeze Bombardier out of the American market. Instead, he gave Bombardier a global marketing campaign they couldn't have scripted themselves, and handed European and Asian aircraft manufacturers the perfect pitch to American buyers suddenly nervous about regulatory uncertainty. Our aircraft don't come with political risk. One social media post, one Thursday night, and the world's most sophisticated aviation safety cooperation system, built over 70 decades, suddenly had a question mark over it that no amount of diplomatic cleanup can fully erase. Canada didn't fire a shot. Didn't need to. Trump grounded his own strategy before it ever left the runway.